Good morning, good morning. Right, so where are we? Pubs, hospitality, retail, pubs and hospitality, reopened at the weekend, barbers, all back in business. And what's next? So, tomorrow is going to be a really big day for business, the economy, announcements. We've got basically an interim budget, a summer budget, scrapped by George Osborne, back for whether you want to call it a mini budget or a pre-budget statement. What we're looking at is what initiatives are the government going to put in now, immediately, and medium term to get things going. And entrepreneurship and business is going to be the core focus, because even though everything's opening up now, what has to happen is spending. When the economy is booming, everybody's spending, everybody's borrowing, everybody's getting taxed. There's jobs, there's low unemployment, the world is good. The challenge we've got at the minute is the economy is not growing, it's slowing. And we're in a recession. If we don't grow out of it, we'll go into a depression, and that's obviously not good. The only way that you can start to move out of a recession, which basically means economic activity increasing and growing rather than slowing, is for people to spend. The whole economy is driven by transactions and people spending money and investing money. And what the government needs to do now is to get people to spend. And there's a few reasons why this isn't happening. Not having money is not the key one, because, well, maybe for businesses there's an element there, but consumers have stockpiled something crazy. I can't remember the figure off the top of my head, but consumer capital's been stockpiled at about, I think it's about 87 billion or something during lockdown. So one of the challenges we have at the minute, or don't have at the minute, is people actually do have money, but one of the things is changing consumer buying habits, confidence levels of going back to the shops, restaurants. And what the government have got to do is they've got to really get this flywheel going. People need to be spending money, and we need, the economy needs a big sharp shot in the arm to get this thing going. And this is what we're going to hear tomorrow about what stimulus and what steroids are they going to put into businesses to get this thing going. We talked briefly about this last week. A steroid in the human body is basically a way to to do two things. To either artificially grow something that wouldn't previously grow, or to grow it quicker than you could naturally. That's basically what a steroid would be in the human body. In the economy, a stimulus does exactly the same. So a stimulus is put in place by the government, and a stimulus will allow your business to artificially grow quicker than it would have been able to otherwise, or to a level it wouldn't have been able to achieve otherwise, or so grow quicker or grow bigger. Either you wouldn't have been able to do this without the stimulus, or you'll be able to get where you were going to go anyway faster. And it's imperative now that the government get people to start spending. And this is twofold. Like, one is consumer spending, which is retail, is people going to pubs, restaurants and consuming. In order to do that, people need to have employment. And the stimulus and the steroids we're going to see for entrepreneurs is to encourage people, entrepreneurs, not to lay people off. It's really important that we can keep this unemployment low, because at the minute we need to see the new figures once hospitality is actually really opened up. But most recent reports, as of this weekend, was we've got 9 million people on furlough, and then 3 million people on the self-employed equivalent, which is 11 million people. It's like heading towards half of the private sector workforce on furlough or the self-employed equivalent. Now, that provides huge uncertainty, because we don't know how many of them are going to come back. There's no stats for England yet, because we've not opened the economy up. But America, as an example, forecast a 40% drop-off rate. So 60% return to work, 40% lose their jobs. Now, as an economy, that's significant, and we can't afford to go to that level of unemployment. So the government are going to step up and put further stimulus in to our businesses and to the economy to get us going. So what entrepreneurial steroids are we looking at? What, as an entrepreneur, can we use that the government's going to provide to enable us to either grow quicker than we would have done previously, or take our businesses to a level that previously would just not have been an option? There's already been the first phase of initiatives released, and this was during lockdown. So we had, for example, furlough, which would help to ease your cash flow if you're doing some sort of recapitalisation strategy, or you're just trying to offset a drop in revenue. Bounce back loans, so 50k per business. Bounce back loans, with these things as well, you've got to be quick. Like, speed of implementation is key, because when it's opened and it's quick, it's manual, and it's let's just get it out of the door, we need that headline, we need that shock factor. As it starts to become more established, there becomes rules, there becomes frameworks, there becomes criteria, the money dries up. And those of us that move fast, so we got bounce back for all of our companies. Sybils, so coronavirus interruption business loan scheme, we were in the first 1% of companies in the country to actually get those. And now it's harder to get. Either some of the banks have just run out of money and you've got to wait on a waiting list if they get some more, or it's very challenging. The framework's in place, the rules are in place, they've got time on their side now, and they've adjusted. So speed of implementation is key. And we've seen some of these early stimulus for our businesses, which include loans, deferments, HMRC deferments of employers' tax, employees' tax, national insurance, VAT, being able to stockpile that. But tomorrow's a really key day, because Rishi Sunak, Chancellor of the Exchequer, will be standing up tomorrow to do basically a summer statement, or a pre-statement announcement. And what he's going to be doing is talking about what initiatives they're going to launch immediately, and what they're going to do. So what they're going to do now in the short term, like literally as of probably tomorrow, and then others is an insight into what's going to happen. And as an entrepreneur, it's absolutely imperative that you start to consider these things and make the most of them. Some of the things I think we're going to see is, well, spending is a key one. They've got to get people spending somehow, and that might be a temporary reduction in VAT. It might be specific to sectors, so you might see a holiday of VAT, or a significant reduction in the areas that are lacking confidence, like pubs, restaurants, places where they're open for business, they operate on small margins, they really need to get that throughput and revenue up, but people just don't have the confidence to return yet. You might see some stimulus there to really sort of give them a shot on the arm and encourage people to go and spend. I think you're going to see some selective extensions. So there'll be some extensions to some of the deferments. Now, deferments are a difficult one. I'm not huge on deferments because it is kicking the can down the road, but it's definitely one that we're using. So we have to date, although we didn't need to, stockpiled our VAT, we've stockpiled our national insurance, we've stockpiled all of the money that the government, our corporation tax, we've stockpiled all of the capital that would otherwise need to be paid to the government, but they're offering a free deferment. Now, if you're using that money to survive in your business, that's not a good thing. If you're using the money to pay salaries and pay your own salaries and you're burning through it at a burn rate, that's really not a fantastic idea. However, if you're using it to invest and you understand how to invest, bounce back was just a life changer, or a game changer. It was the lifeline of a lifetime, that sort of capital being made available that cheaply and that easily. Deferments are similar. Now, you need to be very careful, because this is still debt and the lender is HMRC. If there's one person you don't want to be borrowing money off or owing money to, it's HMRC. However, our strategy with that, as an example, is they've offered it as an opportunity. We don't need to use it, but we're going to stockpile the capital and then use it to invest in the business, whether it's buying other companies, investing in business infrastructure, recruits, whatever it is we're going to do, as long as we're confident that we can still make those repayments when they fall due. And the thing there with that as an example, I think you're going to see an extension in deferments and extensions for national insurance. There'll be some sort of grants available. So grants, holidays, because they want employers to, one, not get rid of employees. So anything they can to stop you from laying people off, which might be an extension to flexi furlough, it might be national insurance holidays, it might be deferments. They want you to recruit people, so we're probably going to see grants. We're going to see some early sort of traineeships. So traineeships will be £1,000 per business potentially, £1,000 for every business that you take, every employee that you take on, and you can have up to 10 of them. And that will be if you take somebody on from between 6 weeks and 6 months, 18 to 25, you get about £1,000. And you can have up to 10 of them. So there's good opportunity there. Get some capacity in your business, get some resources. You don't have to pay them a salary, and you get paid for it. You know, that's absolutely no-brainer if you can get a return on it rather than a cost. The Green Deal is going to come back. So those of you that remember the Green Deal from back in the day, free insulation, discounted insulation, There's going to be a huge spending on that because Boris talked about in build, talked about the fact it's got to be big, it's got to be fast, and it's got to be green. The first sort of early signals is that we're going to see a return of some sort of green scheme where you can get discounted insulation for your houses. Some of the entry-level earners could actually get it for free. And as an entrepreneur, if you operate in or around that space, it's a fantastic opportunity. I know people that actually built businesses up specifically for that. When they did the solar and the external installations, they built a whole company, built it on variable costs so it could be scaled up and it could be scaled down. And for about 6 or 8 years, they absolutely cleaned up because they spotted the opportunity, they moved fast, they specialised in it, they became government accredited, and they absolutely nailed it. So they did really, really well. All of these stimuluses and opportunities are going to be coming up. And tomorrow we're going to hear about that. Stamp duty for property is potentially, the threshold is going to be increased. It's not clear yet. And I don't think, I might be wrong, like I may well be wrong, but I don't think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be released now. I think we need to really see the damage to the industry. Property prices year on year dropped 0.2% through June, but it was still up to 2.2% on the previous year. So that's not really, we're not really seeing signs of that. If anything, we're definitely seeing a bit of a mini boom. We're seeing that pent up demand meeting up reduction in supply, and property prices are stabilised, and in some areas even booming. Our instruction to some of our property entrepreneurs is to sell. Now's a fantastic time to be selling. Sell at the top of the market, buy back at the bottom of the market. It's just how the game works. So I don't think stamp duty will be released tomorrow in the pre-budget statement, but we'll see. It may well be wrong. I don't think we'll see that. The threshold is going to increase up to about, we'll see, but the early signals is up to about £500,000. If it rolls over to investment property, buy-to-let property, fantastic, happy days. You know, we can buy property cheaper. If it doesn't, then it will stimulate the residential market. So those of us that are doing developments, build to sell, it will stimulate that part. So there's going to be loads of stuff going on. My biggest message to you right now would be to understand what these initiatives are, because there's stimulus, there's these steroids for our businesses, which is free capital you can invest, you can expand, you can buy other companies with, you can take your business to a level that previously would have been more challenging. Because finance previously, those of you that have been in business for a while, you remember the last sort of 3 to 5 years, access to public or access to market finance like banks and government and lenders was reasonably challenging, and employment was hard. So there was lowest unemployment in 40 years, highest salaries in a decade. It was expensive to recruit. It was a hard market to recruit in. That whole thing's flipped on its head now. There's loads of money and there's loads of people who want work. If you're not using this as an opportunity to scale your company, I highly encourage you to reconsider, because whether you're scaling, diversifying, acquiring other companies, restructuring some of your deals and your developments, I'm going to do some posts later in the week about some of the things we've done with our sites, and it is without a doubt, it's the best time in history to be doing this. There's going to be capital available, government initiatives, there's going to be deferment on payments that you'll need to make. The other thing with those deferments as well, like, I'm not keen on deferments because it's basically kicking the can down the road. It's not a grant, it's a deferment. However, if you can hold that as free capital and you can invest it and remain liquid enough to service it whenever it comes due, that's absolutely fine. And I think we all know that, I think we all know. If you don't know, a lot of businesses are going to be burdened with debt after this. A lot of businesses have taken on bounce back, they've taken on SIBILs, they've taken on credit cards. They're doing everything they can to just drive through. There was a study released last week which said that based on the last year's sets of recorded accounts, 60% of businesses that took bounce back will be unable to service their debt when they fall due. Now, that's an indication of what margins some of these businesses are working on. So, and also it gives you an indication as to what the government's attitude to bounce back will be, and SIBILs. If you can service the debt and you can use it responsibly and you can keep your business going, then happy days. You're unlikely to have a huge amount of pressure on. Obviously, you need to act accordingly and not abuse any of these initiatives. The pressure is going to be on, well, there's the fraud squad that's now launched, coronavirus fraud squad, that's now been launched for anybody that's misusing furlough and BBLS and SIBILs. So be careful of that. You know, understand the rules, play the game, but yeah, don't cross the line. But if that's actually the case, And they're already starting to bring back the bad banks, looking at bringing back the bad bank strategy to do debt for equity swaps, whatever they can, just to try and protect this taxpayer money that's gone out the door. If that's the position with a £50,000 loan, that 60% of businesses will be unable to service the repayments when they fall due, the HMRC are quite likely to adopt a similar or more favourable repayment strategy. So we've got this period now which runs up to at least beginning of next year, probably be extended, which is free capital. Like it's money that you don't have to pay now. If you can invest it, stay liquid and be responsible enough to pay it back, there's an opportunity. The second thing is the government, the HMRC, are not going to be the ones to put everybody out of business and say, you know, you've deferred this money. We know that 60% of the businesses can't even pay bounce back. You've now got to pay 9 months worth of deferred VAT, deferred national insurance, deferred, well, whatever other HMRC payments you've actually deferred. They're not going to turn around and say it's due now, it's due yesterday. They're going to put a payment plan in place, which I would expect, on the basis that 60% can't even service bounce back, that at minimum it would be similar terms and structure to bounce back, maybe even more preferable. There'll be the time to pay. They'll use the time to pay model. So yeah, it's very exciting times. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. I'll do a video with regards to what actually gets announced and how to best use it. But now is without a doubt the time for entrepreneurs. The government are not just, and Boris said this in his Bill speech, they're not just stepping up to help entrepreneurs, they're stepping out the way. They know that we're the ones that are going to create the jobs, we're the ones that are going to scale the businesses, we're the ones that are going to actually get this economy going again, but they need to help us. They need to give us initiatives, stimulus, access to finance, whatever they can to enable us to get back to business. So it's very exciting times. We're unlikely to see this ever again in our lifetime. I say one breath, touch wood, because we don't want another pandemic. You know, there's been a lot of fatalities, a lot of casualties, a lot of damage done to both the economy and our society, or even worldwide. But as an entrepreneur, this is literally as good as it gets. Reposition, restructure, play the game, move fast, speed with implementation. Without a doubt, as we go through this dusk period into dawn and dials, this gold rush is very much here. Don't underestimate the opportunity. So I'll keep you well posted as we progress. But every bit of bad bit of economic news you hear, think about it as good news. Everything where GDP is going down, unemployment's going up. For an entrepreneur, as long as you understand what to do, how to use these stimulus, bad news is good news for an entrepreneur, and this is an entrepreneur's playground. So get ready for the gold rush. It's very much coming. I'll keep you posted as we progress. And big day tomorrow with Rishi Sunak and the interim statement. So I'll keep you posted. Have a great day. I'll catch you later. Cheers, guys.